All right, we should be live here in just a second. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's Monday. Happy Memorial Day. And today we're going to be diving into, hi, Wendy. How are you doing? I'm glad to see your face. I saw everybody's boxes and I'm like, do I get to see anyone else's faces today?
Hi, Missy.
Hi. So today we're going to do chapter 6. And the chapter is Do Whatever It Takes. And I've invited Sandra and Brittany on today. So what's interesting is we were running 2 different book club groups. And so they had one and I had one, and we didn't know about each other's until after we had both gotten started. And so they've also been diving into the chapters, and I thought what better way to kind of merge together a little than to have them on to talk about today. So welcome.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you for asking us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us with you.
And wow, what a great group you've created already, Missy.
Thank you. It's amazing how many people just love Mo.
Wow, and as they should.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. So if you guys will take just a second to introduce yourselves, and then my plan today is to be mostly quiet and let you guys just run with it.
Brittany, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a full-time realtor with Keller Williams here in Wilmington, North Carolina. So right by the ocean, right above South Carolina. I am a mom of 2 little ones, a 3rd grader I'm homeschooling right now because of COVID, and then a 3-year-old as well. And so my 8-year-old has been going through this with us. Here she is. And so we've enjoyed going through the program. I've been selling real estate for, this is my 5th year right now that I'm going into, and yet I've been in real estate since 2005. I helped to run a large team, one of the largest teams in our area, and I helped to start the RE/MAX here in our area before I came over. Right when I had my son is when I made the jump. Why not make all big changes in life at the same time, right? So that's my story. And then what attracted me here was the amazing training, which is what I needed, because where I came from on the large team, we were given the fish. I never took the initiative to learn how to fish. I was just given a plethora and I just had to work them, just do the follow-up. And then also the culture is what really attracted me here. So with Keller Williams, I was taught how to create my own business, stand on my own 2 feet for my family, do what's best for them, and the amazing culture. So I'm in an environment around people like Sandra who constantly encourage me, support me, lift me up, make me feel worthy, make me feel like I can and I will do this. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Gosh, how do I top that?
Sandra.
My name is Sandra Candler. I am an MCA MAPS coach. I coach about 19 clients across the country. I also am the MCA currently in Wilmington, North Carolina. I've been with Keller Williams since November of 2013. I actually came to the company because of the culture. The first day that I interviewed, I walked in and the lady at the front desk said, "I'm sorry it's so crazy around here. We're doing a chili cook-off because we're God first, then family, then business." It was my first of 3 interviews on a Friday. I canceled the 2nd and 3rd one after being told that it was going to be a process, because I knew that if those were the values of the company, I wanted to be a part of it. It was in really good alignment with where I was in my life. I've lived quite the journey. I will write a book one day. I'm working on it. A lot of people are holding me accountable to it. And the current part of my journey is just how God shows up in every single thing that we do. And when you look back and see all the major ways he shows up. And so as you can imagine, every time I've been in Mo Anderson's presence or get to hear from her or learn from her or read or anything from her, I am just in awe and grateful for what she's done and the framework that she's created for all of us to be a part of this company and be in one another's lives. So Brittany and I had the idea of starting a book club sometime in the next quarter, and when COVID hit, we were like, wow, people are home, let's do it now. And actually Brittany, she was so great because I reached out and I said, are we going to do it later on this month? And she said, why don't we just go ahead? I think people are ready now, because I was having the drunk monkey around people being zoomed out and not wanting to add something else. However, we really felt like this would give people an opportunity to revisit what's most important in life and share that with friends and their family and everyone they're close to, and we're excited about that.
I love that. I felt the
Also,
same
Mama
way.
3. Yeah, I'm also
Yeah.
Mama 3. Yeah.
Well, I felt the same way because there's so much out there right now that's tactical, and really what I need most right now is internal. And so, okay, well, we're going to dive into chapter 6. Interestingly enough, these two lovely ladies already discussed this on a Zoom in their book club. So I'm going to let you guys take it away. I try to wrap up around 12:35 to 12:40 so we can take a few ahas and questions, and then I work to end right at 12:45.
Great to know. All right, so do whatever it takes. What were some takeaways from this chapter before we dive into the questions? What did it speak to you? What did you feel internally from it? Anything from the chapter, Wendy, Alex?
Sure, I'll go.
Perfect.
This was like probably the biggest chapter that hit me personally because I left a 6-figure corporate America job that I've been doing for 30 years. And I had no idea how I was going to pull off starting my own business. And my first year, I literally made $19,000. And coming from a 6-figure job and supporting my family as a single mom back then, it was really, really scary to continue on with the business. And I guess I was just more like Mo, this is my passion. This is something I want to do. And I'm not going to think about how is it going to happen. I'm just going to do it. And I think if you just, do whatever it takes, everything else will follow. And so I didn't worry about the money. Even though it's scary to, you got to pay your bills, but sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith. And so this chapter just really spoke to me a lot.
Absolutely. It spoke to me a lot too. It's definitely one of my favorites in the book. All right. Does anyone else want to share anything before we dive into the study guide? Oh, mute.
Alex, you're muted.
You're mute.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I am actually a little nervous about throwing how I feel about it because I'm actually not licensed yet. I just passed my test for my final, and I'm actually working on studying for my state exam to become a real estate agent. And so, but my takeaway from this chapter was mostly so I talked to Missy about this. I actually did not pass the final the first go around, and so I really beat myself up about it, and I was starting to question whether it was for me or not. But I had already put so much effort and so much time into it. I just felt that it was something that I really thought if I had enough passion for it, and if I really felt that I was going to be really good at it, just keep going. And I finally passed the final, and so it just uplifted me a lot, and that just gave me faith that this is the right path for me. And there's going to be hard times, and there's going to be maybe some things that you don't think you're going to go through the way that you thought you might go through it. But if you just keep pushing, you'll be able to just achieve it. So that's my thoughts on this chapter.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. And I can completely relate. I did not pass the state test the first time I took it. I had to take it a second time to pass it too. And it hit me hard too. Yeah, it's hard. And I can relate because I've always been a study book person. I'm going to know going into it. And the real estate test, it completely threw me, and it hurt my ego. It hurt a lot that I didn't get it the first time. So I totally get it. And stick with it. You're going to get it. You're already on the right path. This is where you're meant to be.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the question. So doing whatever it takes. Mo Anderson says that God expects us to do the necessary work and show our determination. I think he expects us to hang tough and make do until things do get better. He expects us to be self-reliant and accountable. I don't think he appreciates or rewards victim behavior or woe is me thinking. It is my experience that you get the rewards when you're willing to do whatever it takes. So we all know people who have the woe is me or the victim mentality. And I think that's just reflective, right? To make sure we're not putting that out into the universe or in our own heads as well. What do y'all think?
Yeah, you know how I feel about this, Brittany. So I believe that as humans, we're naturally designed to get into victim slightly, and it's important to realize that our first thought doesn't have to be our second one, and to immediately take control of that and then choose what our next thought is going to be and how we're going to operate moving forward. And the more often you surround yourself with people who think that way, the quicker you can pick up on it and adjust. And one of my favorite people on the planet, Diana Kokoska, used to say often, you know, whenever you're flying a plane, if you are flying from here to Canada and you don't really look at your map in the front of the plane, I'm sure there's a technical term for that I'm missing right now. However, if you don't look at where you're going until you're about halfway and you're slightly off track, where are you going to end up? Way off, right? However, whenever you capture that thought in the moment and adjust immediately, you're going to get there. And you can't be attached to the journey or how it happens. You just have to be clear on what your goal is and celebrate every single part of the journey. And that's doing whatever it takes. We can't have a specific picture of what doing whatever it takes means, or else the moment, talking to myself here, the moment that we're off track on what we thought it was going to look like, we could give up. Right? So for those of us who naturally have a high standard for ourselves or look at things and want it to be perfect, it's tempting to get frustrated and give up, and that's just not in our vocabulary. And just because you guys showed up on this call today, I know it's not in yours either. Right?
Absolutely. And that reminds me too with COVID, you know, right when COVID started, that second week, when we did hear a little bit of a downturn in showings in our area, and we did lose some deals in our area, some transactions fell apart. And there were a lot of naysayers, a lot of negative people in our industry too, that were saying, okay, you got to completely rip everything up, completely rip your goals up. You got to reset goals. This is not going to happen. Reset what you're going to do. And from the minute on, I'm like, no, goals are still our goals. It is, like you said, just going to take us a different path to get there. It's going to look a little bit different. You know what? This is just another obstacle. We're going to figure it out, tweak our systems. We're going to achieve our goals. That's non-negotiable. Goals are not negotiable. The only thing we have to work on constantly is the path to get there, the journey. Any other thoughts on that?
The thing that really sticks out to me the most around that is, if you are not in reality, you can't change your reality. And when you're in victimhood, you don't even have a clear picture of what's going on. And
yeah, I think sometimes if you think, oh, you believe in your faith, and, you know, oh, if you just say, well, I believe, so God's going to get me what, you know, this was my path, this is what I'm supposed to do. He's still not going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself. You have to, like, he gives you the strength maybe to do the work, but you still have to do the work. If you're not going to do the work, you're not going to get there. So it's a matter of finding direction, but then also acting on it and building a plan and constantly working. I mean, people that look at realtors and think, oh, you know, what an easy job, they've got it made. And, you know, like, they have no clue how hard it is to do this job. And you're constantly reinventing yourself, going through these shifts. And it's just like the path might be there, but it's up to you how you get there and continue to push through it and constantly changing and pushing. So reinventing, it's up to you really where you want your future to go. And if you see that path, you have to be the one to drive it.
And something else that Mo said in this chapter, and it's a theme throughout the book too, of who are the people you're surrounding yourself up with? Are they lifting you up? Who are your role models that you're emulating, that you're following? Who is in your circle? Are you circling yourself with the naysayers, with the negative, the woe is me? Are you circling yourself around the people like on this call, who are, you know what, whatever it takes, we're going to get through it. We're going to figure it out, you know? And that's where it goes in, kind of rolls into the next question. Who are your role models for a do whatever it takes attitude? Who do you have in your life?
So my role models aren't like the typical role models. Mine are my kids. If I am the one that is putting in the work, they're seeing everything I'm doing, and they actually put in a lot of work too, and they push through things that I like, even through this whole COVID thing and being out of school, and they still got up and did their homework on the computer and did all of that stuff like that. Them doing that was my role model of like, okay, even through the changes, you can still do this. And then I can, you know, be their role model in other ways. And so my kids, definitely, I would use them as my role model for sure.
I love that. What else? Who else do you guys have as your role models?
I kind of piece my role models together. So I have more than 5, and I identify things that people do well, and then I have them mentor me in that thing. So I kind of have a financial and wealth mentor, marriage, parenting, spiritual, business. You know, I follow these 4 people on their client events in 36 Touch and how they love on their people. So I just kind of put mine together in this big puzzle of a whole lot of mentors. Is that weird? I know I'm weird.
No, I love that so much. I love it.
And that's just in alignment with how Mo says that she has people in all of those categories, Missy. So that's exactly what she did. She went and found people that were great in all of those categories, and that's who she has mentor her, right?
All right, I'll throw one out there again. My parents are my biggest role models because they started their own business right after they got married. They got engaged 10 days after they met, got married 6 months later, and then like started their own business because they had nothing when they got started. And they owned their own business for 29 years. And if anyone had that do whatever it takes attitude, they were on the verge of bankruptcy so many times. Their bankers literally told them, you guys need to close your doors. You can't make it through this. And they kept doing their inventory and thinking they were, doing their bookkeeping and thinking they were profitable. And then they would do their inventory and realize people were stealing from them. And like they'd have a setback after setback after setback that they never ever gave up. And eventually sold and made a lot of money and were able to retire for a while. But like they just did whatever it took. Like literally borrowed money to buy a chair, to sell the chair, to get their first, paycheck. And like they're just so inspiring. And to this day, they've just been those entrepreneurs that have always inspired me, that you can always do whatever you want if you set your mind to it.
I love that. And for me, one of mine is my husband. Several years ago, when I first got into selling, I first was commission agent on that large team. And of course, timing, my husband got laid off from his job that he had for over a decade. And he was actually the regional director of IT for Coldwell Banker for a whole Southeastern Carolinas region. And it was hard. He was a steady income. We had just taken the leap of me going commission-based and him losing the salary, losing the health insurance, losing everything. And that's super scary. And we had a 3-year-old little girl too. So to do whatever it takes is what he was determined to do. So he took on every shift he could, doing whatever he could, fixing anybody's computers. We put it out there to realtors of all companies, no job too small, no hours not counted, whatever it took to bring in income to take some of the pressure off of me, so that I didn't have the commission breath as a fresh agent, just to help out our family, whatever it took. And then he pushed and pushed to get into this great IT company. There's not many IT field jobs in our area. There's basically one company, and it's very hard to get into. He pushed and pushed. It took him about 9 months to qualify and pass all the tests, and he didn't take no for a reason. He just pushed until he got this fabulous job that has all the benefits we'd ever imagine in it. So it's just not giving up, doing whatever it takes to make sure you're happy and looking out for your family and your people. Anybody else have anything else to share on that one?
My grandmother, and I've shared this with you already, Brittany. However, my grandmother is a huge example of this for me. She went to college at a time where it was an all-girls college back then, and she started a business at a time where it was majority male, all males that were running businesses like hers. She started a paralegal company, and attorneys told her that she wouldn't be able to start her own business doing paralegal work because they would just hire their own paralegals to work for them, and that she wouldn't be able to get enough business because they would just compete with her. And she still started it, and she thrived. And she didn't even finish college, and that's right. She didn't even finish college, and she grew this great business where my mom, who didn't go to college at first and was working 3 or 4 jobs because she had all 3 of me and my sisters before she was 19 years old, was able to stop waiting tables and working all of those jobs and go to work for my grandmother and go to college and become a paralegal as well. And they grew this huge business that they just sold when my grandmother was ready to retire. So just hearing her stories and determination, and a lot of times tough love, was really, really impactful and has been for me.
Love that. Anything else before we move on to the next question? Wonderful. All right, so Mo says, what you master in the tough times will help you soar in the good ones. And that is so relevant for right now. She gave another quote too. If you are interested in something, you will do what is convenient. If you are committed to something, you will do whatever it takes. That's what we're talking about right here. So she also said that they were achieving great success because their willingness to make it happen. It wasn't an option. So in what ways have you been rewarded for doing whatever it takes? Who wants to go first on that one?
So it kind of falls back on failing that test and then just having to work at it and take over the test or do the test again. I mean, I was able to finally pass it. So just working hard at that and continuing on instead of just giving up. I felt like that was something that was really rewarding. I felt really great afterwards, and I really felt like it was going to set me up for success after that. So just keep trudging through, I guess.
It's the end result. It's not about the journey. Now the journey makes you and develops you. In the end result, you got it. That's what really matters at the end, what you learn through it and that you accomplished it. Nice. What else?
I'm going to just throw one out for Alex. I just want to say what you're doing is fantastic, because like when I took the real estate exam, I had an MBA. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. You know, if all these people that I know personally are in real estate and they can pass the test, I'm sure I can. And I had no idea how hard it was going to be. I did pass the first time, but I literally cried like for a half an hour straight when I passed because I didn't want to have to take it again. It was so hard. But then like to just prepare you the first year in business that's when I was saying I only made $19,000 my first year. It would have been so easy to say, I can't do this. Like I can't afford to live on $19,000 a year. I'm not going to be able to stay in real estate, but I loved what I was doing so much. I didn't give up. And so don't let the first year discourage you, or even the second. Like what you put into it, you will get back. And I did get to 6-figure income my second year, and my business is growing. I have a small team now. I'm going on 5 years. But it would have just been so easy to just give up. And if you want something bad enough, do whatever it takes. Like don't like, I'm just preparing you going into your first year. Don't make a decision on your future based on how your first year turns out, and never give up, because it does take time and it's a hard business, but it's worth it, and it's totally rewarding. If you put the time into it, you'll get your results.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for that, because I think I've prepared myself for knowing that the first year is going to be probably the hardest one for me, because I'm setting myself up. So I think that as long as I know, that it will be difficult the first year, I think that'll get me through it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And it all snowballs from there. Every single deal you take and you have, and every conversation can lead to 20, 50 more. It's just building that relationship, incubating it, every single deal, just work it with your life and it'll snowball from there. I guarantee you. Okay.
Well, and something I want to add to that is, anytime we're looking to grow our business or make a change in one area, it all goes back to the habits that we're creating in other areas. So if at any time you need to build more confidence in yourself, just ask yourself, what small habits am I creating this week that I'm going to actually follow through on and build that spiral of self-confidence? And not just do whatever it takes in this one area. How do I show up today as a do whatever it takes person?
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that well today, then and Missy and I are working on something unrelated to business. However, it's related to our health and running. And it's just the small things, right? So when you build every single day and you show that you have integrity with yourself, which most of the time is when no one else is looking, then you will naturally have the confidence to go do everything else that you intend to do. So we will get stuck. We do have hard parts of our journey. That's a guarantee. And in that moment, we just need to go out there and build a habit so that we can have confidence in ourselves again and go be that kind of person. And then that's going to naturally have us show up doing the things we need to do to get there.
Absolutely. So it's building those habits, is making sure it snowballs. So my first year commission, I was on that large team. I had earned the right to be a listing agent on that team from some other work I had done, and it set me up to succeed. So I ended up being pregnant with my second child, and boss did not know it and went in for an annual review, and some words were spoken that I did not appreciate, and I was a little hormonal from being pregnant. And after a month shy of 11 years of taking this type of, you're not worthy, you're lucky, you're my assistant, you're gonna still get my dry cleaning while you're commission agent, yada, 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 you're not worthy, you're lucky to work for me. I just I had too much. And so I did what it took to get myself out of that position. And I still stayed at the firm while I was pregnant until the baby was born, because that's what I knew. I had been with this group of people for almost 11 years. That's comfort. It would have been so easy, just keep my mouth shut, just stay on the team, keep me in fed leads. And yet I need to do whatever it took for my family and for my mentality. And because what you're taking in is what you give out too, right? So if you're just constantly taking in negative, that's what I was giving out. And just being downtrodden, knowing I need to do more. I need to do whatever it takes to improve my own mindset, my well-being, and what I'm giving out to other people too. So went on the company, as soon as the baby's born, flipped to a place where I'll be in an environment that would help me thrive. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's the reward that I'm getting from going through that scary time. It's not easy leaving a team you have always been with for almost 11 years while pregnant, and then having a newborn and having to completely rebuild your business because you had always been fed leads. Learning how to do all this, it's scary. And yet doing whatever it takes, because your mindset, what you're bringing in and what you're putting out to the world is so much more important. So just doing whatever it takes for my kids too. It's that first year I was the top person on the team. And so I was bringing in some income, and yet I'm bringing in almost double that now on my own. So what more am I able to do for my family? Because my big why is to be able to give and do without hesitation. I was not in the right mind space to do that before, until I'm able to have the environment around me to support that. And that's how I'm rewarded now, by going through that super hard time just 3-4 years ago. What about for you guys? What other ways have you been rewarded for doing whatever it takes?
So I started building a business in 2016, and before that, in 2011, I was pregnant and I worked as an assistant, and I should never handle someone's details, by the way, like ever. And I set aside money to get myself licensed because I was going to drive a fancy car, have a baby on a hip, and do like no work. That's what I was going to do. And then my husband, Brittany, it's a similar story. My husband was laid off after 17 years. So all of a sudden, no benefits. I've got a 10-month-old at home. I'm still nursing, and I'm not going back to work. And so we took that money I set aside and got Steve licensed, and then we did whatever it took. And it was like this crash course. And I mean, I'm over here in a recliner nursing a baby, figuring out how to post ads on Craigslist so my husband's phone would ring, because I wasn't licensed. I didn't get licensed until 2016. And then I started building our team. Anyway, all of the lessons that we took in that time, there are so many of them. And the most powerful ones to me are those times where I had no idea how we were going to make it, how we were going to pay our bills. And I've got a baby here. And I would check the mailbox, and somebody like one of our family members, not immediate, more distant, just out of the blue would do things like, there's a $500 check. Hey, I was thinking about you guys. And it just always happened. And so Steve and I like to laugh that God lives in the blue, because all the coolest stuff happens out of the blue.
I love that so much.
I love how much your stories are related.
Yeah, so neat.
Happen.
Any other ways you guys have seen that you've been rewarded when you were willing to do whatever it took?
So, oh, go Alex.
Okay, sorry. My husband, so I have not yet been rewarded, but I know we will be rewarded. So going into real estate is going to help us and my family. My husband's oil field and we have 3 kids. And I know that me going into real estate and working my tail end off and doing what I need to is going to be able to get my husband out of the oil field. So we haven't been rewarded yet. He's not out yet, but I see that reward in the future for us. So.
Perfect. So we are almost wrapped up. Sorry about that. The time change messed my head. I was thinking, okay, we had another hour on there. Okay. All right.
Well, Brittany, Sandra, thank you so much for coming in and joining and aligning our little hearts, our little passion projects. I appreciate it. Wednesday, you guys don't want to miss. Mo herself will be here, the Velvet Hammer. So we'll see you guys then. Sandra, Brittany, any last minute thoughts to close us out?
Thank you for having us. It's amazing to be a part of other people who are focusing on revisiting what drives us, what's important to us, how God created us to be. And I'm just grateful to get to know each one of you. And I'm excited for what you're doing with this journey. I would just say, don't forget to invite everyone that you know to your group with Missy, people that are family, friends, and other businesses, and they don't have to have read the previous chapter or be looking at the materials. Just invite them to the conversation. These are important life lessons that you could give as a gift to other people, so don't forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. Same as Sandra said, we really appreciate your time and having us be a part of this today, and always think about what your positive future could look like when you're willing to make a stand for yourself and stand for the others in your life. Take the risk, do whatever it takes, and what a positive influence for yourself and others around you in your community can look like after that.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you for leading. We'll see you guys Wednesday.
Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.